the woodsman in here already. How's it going, buddy? You've been kind of keeping up on my activities for the day. Uh, well, actually, today and yesterday I've been out here in the woods. I'm camping, and I've been doing a little bushcrafting stuff. Let's see, we got. I already got the purple rain wave. Yeah, we got quite a few campers here actually today, so hopefully they won't kick off the music too early. Um, and one of the things I wanted to do with this live is to discuss the haversack. Um, I know a lot of people, have their idea of what goes in it. Um, I don't think there's really any expert answer or perfect answer for it. But I wanted to see what everybody thinks belongs in it versus maybe some misconceptions of what go in it. And one of the things I did was I of course acquired the box set of survival books here from Dave Canterbury, and we won't go into the background of the author, but he does present a knowledgeable front. Plus, he has the school that you can go to and learn more stuff. But I got to looking in here, and he does have an actual description of what goes in it, uh, or about the haversack. And he says a haversack is a small carried on one side of the body. The haversack has been the standard carry item since the days of the frontier. These bags vary in size between 18 or 11 inch by 18 inch by 24 inch square. The the exact sizes, however, is a matter of personal preference. So again, the size is not the topic of debate there. Construction is usually of cloth or leather. Nowadays we have the wax canvas, so that one is also another option. Many haversacks are water resistant, made from oilcloth or handmade wax canvas. Again, like I said, uh, this device is used to carry items that are of immediate importance, items you collect along the journey. Never overstuff this bag to the point you have no more room, especially for things you find along the trail. You may need room to store quick tenders, sources, or bird's nest material. So, uh, and it goes on and tells a little bit more about it, but uh, then I know later on here it listed some things that you might actually find in the Akaya. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't live deep in the woods. I'm just out camping. So anyway, the haversack, the contents they listed on it, and it actually surprised me. Um, it says a watch coat, oilcloth, a kerchief, linen, cordage. Basically says partial roll of number 36 tarred mariner's line, so that's your bank line. Work gloves, leather, and a ferrocerium rod, 6 inch by half-inch end wrap with a tape, or it's just his take on what you should have with the we're not gonna go there, OGMR or whatever. I'm gonna send you to let's see, do a little there. And if you want to converse, you'll, and talk intelligent, you'll come back with a respectable comment there. So we don't talk about that kind of stuff. This is an outdoor channel. We can go on different adventures. I do, a little bit of bushcrafting, campcrafting. That's another debate there. So where's the line drawn between campcrafting and bushcrafting? I know pretty much what it is, but it seems to be misrepresented quite often. And so, like I said, the haversack, is a kind of like a satchel bag. It hangs on the side. And, based on most of what I've seen about it, most people will carry the haversack as kind of like a day bag or maybe an overnight bag. I think the day bag kind of encroaches into the, using something for a backpack, but if it's a short trip and you're not going to do much cooking, you don't worry about a container, you don't have to worry about he did say a ferro rod, so obviously he's kind of indicating that you might make a fire. So if you're not planning on doing any cooking or anything like that, then it just becomes the essentials of what you need for your day trip that can go in a haversack. But if you're going to expand and do cooking, you're going to have your pot, you're going to have your maybe a stove, or you're going to build your own little fire, and then your food, and possibly some little cold pack or something to keep, if you got some meats in there or something like that. Okay, hi from Brazil. Welcome in. Appreciate you coming in. Looks like we got 10 people watching, 4 thumbs up. That's awesome. I appreciate that. If you got some input on the haversack, feel free to jump in and kind of like a minimalist bag. I actually don't have one yet because I'm torn between making one or actually acquiring one. So I've kind of been feeling out different things. Of course, Amazon sells them, you can find them all over the internet. I went not this past weekend, it's been, I think, about 3-4 weeks ago, to a survival fest, actually 5 miles away from here. I was surprised to find that. And so, a lot of the vendors there were selling haversacks and different packs and things like that. So yeah, and that was the other thing. I was thinking about getting one, so I kind of saw the pattern and the layout of how they did it, so I get an idea of, if I'm going to make my own, what I would need for that. Speaking of make my own things, been doing a little, like I said, a little project of making my own stuff. And one of the things you might actually need in, with your haversack, I've got 4 different types of these here. And these are the used for navigation or land navigation. And these are the ranger beads. One. later, but just made up some of those for different variety. There's a limited edition here. These are the colors for the channel, so I got a limited edition there, and it's got, of course, the ring on it. So that's been one of the things that we've been doing here. That just kind of keeps me busy throughout the day. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, you know, if I acquire one, it'll be used for dimensions and stuff. And then also, another little thing I made was a little paracord bracelet. And the nice thing about this is if you undo the knots and you slide through each of the rings, it will completely just unravel, and you don't have to sit there and unlace it all the way through it. So it's an easy to separate and remove and then unravel. And I think there's probably about 5 foot of paracord in there. It might be about 6. I'm not sure. Might have to take that apart again and see. But the other thing I did was I don't know if many of you are familiar with the Lucid tool. Let me see this here. Yeah, the beads, again, like I said, very important to keep track of the distance you travel. Now the standard for this is basically you got 9 beads here, and each one would represent 100 meters. And so basically, when you've traveled 100 meters, you can slide one down. Once you finish you've got 9 of them, and then you walk another 100 meters, then you would slide down that and then push all of them back up to start over, and that represents 1,000 meters. And essentially you could represent 5,000 meters, or 5,000 meters with this. And that kind of helps you if you if you lose track in 100-meter distance, you might be able to pretty well estimate the distance that you have gone, and then approximate how much further you go to finish another 100 meters. Or you could backtrack, which would be kind of a, it depends on your situation. If it's a got to get out type situation, then maybe you won't go back to the same spot of your previous 100 meters, because you could easily mark it with a couple of pebbles, a little notch in a tree. I don't like to want to put a notch on a tree, because if you put a small one, it'd probably be fine. But let's take care of the trees that we have. You could always lean a good sturdy one up against the tree and put a notch on it. That way it's visible and saves the tree, so to speak. But like I said, the other tool that I made this one with is this is a Lucid tool. Now this is very, very crude, but I carved it myself, and it's used for helping to braid this type of cordage. Or you could do a bank line, you could do a yarn, you could do a wool. if you made your own cordage, you could do it with that. And it does, I mean, this is a very strong cordage. I think they said it goes, I think 5 times the strength of the cord. So if this is 550 paracord, 5 times, do the math. But you can do it with just your hands, but this simplifies it. And I just thought it would be a neat little project. I started doing some carvings. Some of you may have seen pictures of my bear that I carved. Yeah, I actually went a little bit further on it from the original picture I had sent to Woodsman there. But what I had done is, you can see how it kind of curves in here. Well, part of the process, you know, you're looping it around and then you're working up here. But if you're holding it way down here, you know, you're kind of struggling with it. Well, I put these little curves here in the side so you can move your hand up and get a firm grip on it. So it's kind of an adaptation. And if you look it up on, you know, you can look it up on Google and the Lucid tool, and there's a lot of videos out there that show you how to weave it. But it looks like, it seems to me like it's a little bit of a lost art, because the majority of the videos I saw for it were, you know, 5 years or more older, you know. So little bird. Almost looks like a little baby woodpecker. But yeah, this is what I weaved on that. And then the way I have it set up, this isn't an expanding knot. It's just a roll-on type thing. So, roll-on bracelet. And what else have I been up to? I got a recent acquisition that was a good price. Found this, and it's got the clip on the back side. It has the coarse knife sharpener here and the ceramic rod knife sharpener there, and you can cut cordage right here. Of course, you got your bottle opener, and it's got a knife sharpener on that side. And this is our tool. And of course, you got the finger hole there. It's got the thumb grip on the back side. And this is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Camillus. It's made by Camillus. And as you can see, I got it for 12 bucks. Now, I have seen a lot of comments on these. I don't know if I don't think it's wide enough to use as a bottle opener. And as far as weight, it's pretty heavy duty. The material, you know, this is kind of, I guess, a plastic. So, but, you know, I mean, for little small jobs, it might even make a good skinning knife or something like that. And it's got a good sheath for it. I mean, it's kind of like the Kydex type. That's not coming out of there. But a lot of people in a lot of the comments about this particular brand of knives has had not so good things to say about it. It said the blade breaks and stuff, but that's been on the bigger. I think they've got a machete, and then they've got another one that's got in between. It's kind of got a chisel type tip on it. But I thought this would be a nice little handy, you know, every day, plus having your multi-purpose, and this might be something good to throw in your haversack, you know. So yeah, so it, like I said, it was on clearance at Walmart. So if anybody else has a Walmart nearby, go check them out, see if they got one. Not sure why they would clearance it unless they've got a new, you know, usually stuff that go on clearances because they've got they're resetting the area and a new line of products is coming out and they're just not going to carry it anymore, or a new version's coming out. Calamus is notorious for new versions of things. So neck knife, yeah, it could work as that. It's a little bit on the big side, but yes, it could definitely work on that. If they had more, I would have got them for sure. I asked the guy, you know, hey, you got any more? And then no, just those, because I know a couple of guys that could have used some, and that would have been a nice little surprise for everybody. I could have got them. But yeah, so this could be something that you clip onto your haversack. Of course, you'd want some cordage in there, but if you know, I got a hank of cordage right here with me, and then maybe a small knife. Another thing most people don't think about is maybe something like this, something to, you know, jot down some notes. I got a little notebook here, pencil. I know that, Woodsman. I will definitely keep that in mind. You know, we got the meetup coming up in February, so. And no, folks, this is not a tuning fork, and it's not going to make the sound of a tuning fork. Yeah, absolutely. You know, never a more opportunistic moment than, you know, hiking through the woods and you come upon a clearing and just take a moment, you know, pull out the little pocket Bible and, you know, you're out there in nature's church. Tuning fork for knotheads, yeah. But you know, this is well oversized, and part of the reason for that is all the all the ones that I've seen. It's not all the videos. You'll probably find them on like knitting channels and things like that, and they're just doing it with yarn and or smaller threaded. And so I'm using paracord with this. So I wanted something bigger and beefier. And this is made out of, I actually carved this out of pine. If I go too much more thinner, I mean, you can see in relation to my finger about how big that is. You know, if I go too much smaller, then this really becomes weak and prone to break. And so if you're wrapping around the cord and then you're tensioning it and pulling on it, You want a little bit of play in these, but you don't want it snapping on you. So that kind of ruins the moment if you break a tool. So, yep, you could do jute twine on it. I tell you what, I'm going to show you. Let me go over here and grab something real quick. This is the size of the piece of wood, and it was cut off of that end, and you can see it in relation to my thumb that this came from. So it's somewhat green, and you can see in the end of it the kind of a black coloring in there. A lot of times, you know, even though it's green, you got a side of it that's kind of dying. It's kind of porous, actually, and it'll be a gray color as you're carving it down. And it's, like I said, it's kind of porous and spongy, and so I literally had to carve that out of this. Otherwise, this might be a little bit bigger. But I'm happy with the size, so it just gives you an idea what this was yesterday. I started on it yesterday, worked on it for probably about 30 minutes, and I was just carving it with a knife, and I got to thinking, you know, I've got a draw knife with me and some clamps, and I clamped it down to the picnic table and I used that draw knife on it. Made quick work of it. So one of these days I'll lay out all the tools that I got, but again, like I said, we're talking tools in the haversack. Would I put like a draw knife in there? No, it's not an everyday thing. That's a tool for you know, base camp, more or less, because it's a weight item. So I'm actually surprised that yeah, it's definitely can. And the center hole, the theory behind it is, as you are putting it together, it would come down, and like you'd have your main strand coming off, and then you would put it through here so it would come out this side. And the idea is you can keep tension against it by, you know, holding it with your thumb and pulling down. The problem is, every video I have seen, everybody's tensioning it by that little, the first strand that comes off, and it's hanging down here, and then they're, what they've actually braided or weaved is actually sticking out here and coming into here, and the longer it gets, either it sags down here. Now you can't put any tension on it. Well, you could pull it through here, but you know, pulling something that big through the hole and down to here and putting tension on this, it's kind of hard to do. So I had to find out for myself. So that's not an absolute to have that. I think if you know, essentially, if you had that much of it, even, you don't even have to have a handle. Seen a lot of videos where people have just that. So there's a small version of it, you know, that is, again, that much of it. And then the bigger version. And most of them are also a lot thinner. And again, like I said, these are a lot smaller. Again, used for threads and things like that. But as you can see, you know, when you've got that size of paracord going around it, you know, then this size is just fine. Ah, got a groundhog on the cam. Nice. Well, if you guys haven't checked out Ozark Woodsman Stories and More, he does a lot of videos from, or game camera videos from his camp, and he's got raccoons, deer, possum, a fox. I love that fox. But and then of course he tells stories about his days in the logging industry and things like that. So you guys make sure you go grab his channel and then be watching for the video of the groundhog coming through. So that'd be cool to see. But yeah, your haversack is the in my opinion, I would think you would want maybe a hatchet, maybe a folding saw. I know they've got the bow saws, which is kind of bulky and big, but if you have the kind that you can break down to smaller size, that might could go in there. Or just even a folding saw, like one of the silkies or something of that nature. And then, a knife, whether it be anything from, you know, your little neck knife to your maybe a Mora knife, or even your, I don't know what I want to call those, Arkansas toothpick knife. Yeah, limb saw. Yeah. And I don't think you need to go too crazy with it. You don't need to figure out how to put a if you're carrying a machete, you don't need to consider that the bag is where you carry that, because you're probably going to be wearing it on your belt. You're probably going to have another little pouch for tenders and things like that, but the haversack can be used for tenders. Yeah, Bowie knife. That was the other one I was trying to think of, just for you. That's why I was trying to think of that, Woodsman. But yeah, and then a pair of gloves. I don't know, maybe a little first aid stuff. Nothing real major, because most of your stuff is probably going to be at your base camp, or in your hiking pack, whether it be a day pack or if you're out on a overnighter or something like that, then, or a couple of nights. It's probably going to be in that pack. And your excursions with your haversack are probably not going to be too far away from your base camp, but yet far enough away that you need you need a quick grab your pair of gloves, you need to quick grab a knife or a saw. It's right there in your bag. You don't have to hike all the way back to camp to get it. So I don't think it would be something to worry about putting shelter in. Yeah, yeah, it's an easy one to forget. A lot of people forget it, but and I'm just as guilty. But I do have my first aid kit in the car, and most of my trips are camping, car camping, so to speak. No, don't bring up the glamping thing. Yes, okay, so it's kind of like glamping for tent campers. Um, but you know, I could travel, and I used to. I traveled out into the woods to collect wood for campfire. I would have one tonight, but we haven't had much rain in quite a while. And the last rain, I think, was 2/10 of an inch. And then it was about a week even before that, before a heavy rain. So right now, fire danger is high. So they don't have an actual burn ban, but with the fire danger high, and we're in the middle of a pine forest, the ground is just covered with dried pine needles. So a single spark coming from fire could, whew, I don't even want to think of what could happen. So, but yeah, the you want, probably a first aid kit. Nothing super major. I mean, the tourniquet thing. Um, use your own judgment. I'm by no means giving medical advice here, but if you're out chopping some wood, then take precautions to protect yourself, and stay away from the blade. And more than likely your heavy splitting and stuff like that aside, you're going to be maybe chopping down a tree and then taking the wood to your camp, but most of your splitting takes place at your camp, so that's where your tourniquet could be. So yeah, you could always do that if you're planning an overnight. um there, like I said, there are all different kinds of levels of bags. You got everything from your gathering bag, for say you're out gathering nuts or berries or something like that. So you got a little pouch on your side, and then I think the next step up would be like a haversack, and then after that would be a day pack, and then your actual backpack. And they always talk about the everyday carry bag. Now that's different because that is something that's used for, if you happen upon an emergency situation and you need to survive, or it's like to help you get home bag or something like that. So it's, they're kind of somewhat intermixed. And then you have your bug out bag. That's if you're going to leave where your base of operation is in a uh, I don't know, hit the fan situation, so to speak. So uh, a lot of people, like I said, they confuse the what the purpose of the bag is for, and uh, so that kind of makes them bleed over into each other. So the haversack, uh, you know, people think, oh well, okay, I got to put my 5 C's in there. Uh, your cordage, your cooking, your cover, etc. Um, so you don't necessarily have to have your cover in there. Maybe a little cordage might be nice if you are picking up a lot of tinder. You can make yourself a little carrying strap with your cordage. Uh, Doubtful you'll need your cook pot unless you're going on a little day journey. But then you kind of, that's again where you kind of are looping over into your day pack. Uh, the haversack is, in my opinion, it's if you're going out and just doing as our friends from Australia say, a walkabout, or if you're just out gathering things, or so. Exactly, exactly. Situational to where you're at. Um, if it's a really cold scenario, an interesting thing here is if you are in a very cold environment, here's a thought, and I haven't seen anybody really throw this out there, and it's, hey Nancy, appreciate you coming in like a man purse. Yeah. So the if you're in a cold environment, and let's just say you pushed your limits. Some people go out and they are hiking around, and let's say you've been camping and you plan on moving your camp, and you're looking for the direction to go, and before you move on, something that would be the easiest way to go. If you take your little haversack and you're going, would be to throw in some of those, oh, I forget what they call them, the little pouches, the little hot. Somebody give me the name of them. They got them for like in your boots, and they got them. You can put them on your back, or the little hand warmer things. But you throw a couple of those in there. Hot hands, yeah. That could be the difference between frostbite on your fingertips or your toes. So if you are, let's say you've hiked out and you've gone, a couple 100 meters out, you know, and you've pushed yourself, and now your toes are numb, then it might be something that you stop and throw some hot pockets in there around your toes and warm them up, prevent frostbite. Be dag host? I have a suspicion of who that is. If it's who I think it is. Okay. Hi, buddy. Good to see you. Okay, folks. That's my son, Cody. So be nice to him. He's taller than I am, so look out. he is a scrapper, so don't mess with him. But Woodsman, he is, that's my son that lives in Fort Smith area. So that's why I said, if I happen to make a trip down there, I'll have to get a hold of him. And you see what I'm doing, Cody? I'm out here camping. That's what I love to do. We're discussing the some bushcrafting gear, or doesn't necessarily have to be bushcrafting gear. Camping gear, crafter's gear, Campcrafter. But let's see. I'm supposed to. I'm sorry, Cody. I'm supposed to tell you I love you too, bud. Because I do. He knows I do. And I miss him too, man. Haven't seen him in over 6 years. Yeah. So it's been a little while. Been a minute. He's my oldest. He was my first son. And like I said, he is taller than I am, and he is a scrapper, so don't mess with him. So yeah, I mean, you guys, if you have any other thoughts on the Haversack, Cold Region Explorer, hey, welcome. Appreciate you coming in. Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. He stays up to date on my videos. That's awesome. Yeah, I know I've got some that I need to put out. I have my, I did a 5-minute cooking, or $5 cooking challenge. I made the video. I've got it probably about 80% edited, and I just need to get with it and finish editing and put that out. I've got planned some more crazy, my campfire science experiments. But again, like I said, I got a burn ban that's going on. So well, I don't have a burn ban. There's a high fire danger, so we're being very considerate to the fact that we're sitting in the midst of Mother Nature's greatest fire danger is the pine. The ground is covered in dried up pine needles, plus the pine trees provide Mother Nature's best fire starter. It's fatwood, so you got to watch out for that. Now, I don't consider things like oil or natural gas a Mother Nature's fire starter, because it's not like you can go out and just find some and use it to start your fire. Especially trying to contain natural gas. Good luck with that. Yeah, I don't take chances with fire. I mean, especially, there's been a few times I've been out here and it's been windy, and I see people with, they got fire going, and sparks just flying from their campfire. I mean, it wouldn't take much of nothing to start these dead pine needles on the ground. And they do have the policy that browning down wood type thing. So if it's dead and on the ground, then you're okay to collect it and use it for a campfire. So I could strap on my haversack and head off and do it. And then, some people don't observe that rule. So they go and they find these little pine trees, the little ones that are, maybe about that big around, and they go chop them down and haul them to their camp. And yeah, it's green on the outside, but for the most part, if you split it down, the inside wood will burn. It'll be a little bit smoky, but the biggest thing is it'll give off a lot of sparks. And so that's what they go out, they collect it, and they get sparks. So, yeah. But, yeah, Cody, this is one of my things I carved here. This is used for braiding paracord. I made this with it. Nice roll-on paracord bracelet. I think it has about 5-6 foot of paracord in it. And the nice thing about it is you undo the knots and then you pull it through the loops on each end, and then it just unravels instantly. So if you need a hank of paracord, then that's it right there, and you don't have to worry about sitting there trying to unlace it. So, and then here's another find that I got for you folks that have just joined us. One of the Calamus, of course that might be backwards for you folks, but Walmart had that on clearance for $12, and it's got the bottle opener, it's got the rope cutter, it's got a coarse knife sharpener, and then the ceramic fine knife sharpener on it, and that was $12. And it comes with basically like a Kydex case, and it's got the clip on the back side, and you can reverse that to the other side of it, so that for right and left-handed people. Although the handle is uniform on both sides, but I think it's a right-handed. Yeah, I wish they had more. Like I told Woodsman, this is, it may not be the best. Oh, that actually does say, Woodsman, you asked earlier if it was a bottle opener. It is. It does have a bottle opener on it, on there, but I don't know about that hole in the handle. Hook sharpener, so that let me pull that back out. So if you guys got a Walmart near you that has those, in my opinion, it's worth grabbing. They've had reviews on them that haven't been the greatest, but that's been the bigger knives, and they've talked about them breaking. The bigger knives, people were batoning with them, or probably hit it with a metal axe or something, and said that the blade broke. So, but this would be a great tool for the outdoor adventure. Might be a good skinning knife. And then I also didn't even think about it. The way this knife sharpener on it is, it's set up, it's got the grooves in it, so that sharpen a hook in it. Let's see, what else did they say it? They call it a hexa grip with a texturized handle. And then, like I said, the molded sheath is kind of like a Kydex style. It snaps in, and it's not going to fall off. Yes, it is stainless. They don't say on the blade, but it did say in the box that was stainless steel. Sharpener. Yeah, right there, stainless steel. So, and I know stainless has been used. I've used stainless steel knives with a ferro rod, and this does have a 90-degree angle on the spine here of it. So I'll have to try that out on the ferro rod. Haven't decided. I really like this, and I'm actually going to check and see if I can find this on their website, and if they have any more that I could order, I would order those, because if I could get it at that price, it was a very good deal. So anybody else have some input on the haversack, things that, you know, maybe I haven't covered that, you know, make sense in it? Like I said, it's not meant that you stuff your haversack with every survival tool that you can possibly think of, because then, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose. It's kind of like a gathering bag slash, you know, your essential tools for the day, or for your little excursion away from camp. So I wonder, let's see, like I said, the 5 C's: your cordage, your cover, your cooking, your cutting tool, and I always forget the last one. Let's see what that one is. I got it right here. Oh, your cutting tools, your cover elements, combustion, container, and cordage. So, yeah, combustion's the one that I forgot. So, you know, a ferro rod is nothing big. So, the Virginia Bushcrafter, good to see you. Good to see you, sir. Been out doing a little camping here, but I've been doing some little projects. One of my projects is the Lucet for making cordage, which I turned this one into a bracelet. And then I've also made some Ranger beads. I know you're fully aware of what those are. If you guys haven't checked out the Virginia Bushcrafter, go check him out. You know, check everybody out. It's always good to see, you know, what everybody is about that you know, that's commenting in it. Although, you know, some people they just watch. You know, we've got Nancy there. I don't think, Nancy, do you have a video at all? It seems like I recall you. If I recall, you have one video. But it'd be great, you know. You never know. You ought to make some videos. Yeah, the cat video. That's what I thought. Let's see. Had to make a little note here, which is why must be a great thing for your haversack. You got to make a note of something, especially if you're journeying a little bit further away from your camp. Then you could make this a compass. There's videos out there on it, so you know this would be a way to, you know, maybe if you happen to kind of lose your way, or if you are kind of making your journey and then you notice something that you want to come back to or something like that, you know, at my age, you begin to forget things. So making a little quick of something, you know, might be like, if I'm going to do a project where I need some cedar. Now, I am remembering this, but I know exactly where it is for me. It's straight out that way into the woods. Oh, that way. And but you know, as the years go by, I might forget about it, and so you know, I might make a note in my notebook. Hey, if I need cedar for a project, there's some out there. You know, there's not a lot of it out there, so if I make note of the specific area where it's at, then I can reference it and come back to it. Or let's say I happen to find a really good source for fat wood, and I don't like to take it all. If somebody else needs some, by all means, you know, it'll be there for them. If I need to get some, well, I'm going to get some. And if it's a really good source for them, then I'll know where to go back to. So, you know, it's great to have something to note where stuff like that is. Great for the haversack. So, so Virginia Bushcrafter, we were talking about the different things that go in the haversack, and that it's like a light, like, I don't know, I don't want to call it a day bag, because that's almost more like a backpack. And there's, like I said, you know, kind of, this could be a debate. You know, some people could say, you know, oh, you got to have cover in there, because you know, you never know when you could get stranded. And it's like, well, I'm not considering a haversack something that you're going to go on a long expedition away from your camp. It's for carrying the essential tools that you'll need for, you know, maybe a gathering excursion, or you know, just a walk. Might throw a bottle of water, you know, or a container of water. You know, keep some of the liquids with you. Always keep hydrated. Speaking of which, gonna hydrate. So anybody else got some ideas? You know, like I said, you could have a set of gloves in there. You could have your, maybe something a little more substantial than that one that's like in between a neck knife and a regular knife. You could have your more with you, or even up to the level of a Bowie knife. So, what do you think, Virginia Bushcrafter? Is there anything you can think of that might be uh, wise to carry in your haversack? Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus. I might add, you know, maybe, uh, you know, some band-aids, or a, what do we call it? You know, some gauze pad and tape, or something in case you know, fall and skin your leg up or something. Or, you know, if you're out there cutting with a hatchet or axe, or you know, even a saw, you know, you can still cut yourself on it. I mean, the essential things that were listed, you know, that I saw that Dave Canterbury in his Bushcrafting 101 book, was a watch coat, which is what he says is oilcloth, a kerchief, linen, cordage, which you mentioned, work gloves, and a spare ferrocerium rod. So yeah, and the handle wrapped with duct tape. You know, if you absolutely have to make a fire, you got it covered. Yeah. Now, I ran across his video where he suggested in your, um, like in your backpack, you know, when uh, you're covering you got your 5 C's covered, was a bright orange 3X T-shirt that you could turn into so many different things. And the one about the sling was, well, you know, where you didn't have to cut up the shirt to turn it in your shirt into a sling was pretty cool. So yeah, so we talked about the 5 C's. You know, then there's the next level, which is the 10 C's, of course. You know, maybe in a few years, 5 years from now, they'll have the 50 C's of what you got to carry. But and something I've been meaning, I forgot to ask you in your last video when you went out to your camp, was did you find the rock that from that video that looked like somebody shot at you with a slingshot? Yeah, I was amazed at the amount of usages for the t-shirt. Um, you know, you could even, you know, on a triple X t-shirt, it's big enough that you could cut uh, 6 to 8 inches off the bottom all the way around and turn that into something and still be able to wear the shirt just fine. You did. Yeah. Now you got to watch your back. If you guys haven't seen that, he's got a video that he was out at his bushcraft camp, and he didn't notice it at the time of the filming of the video, but I heard it and saw it when watching the video. You could distinctly hear what sounded like a slingshot or something of that nature, and then you kind of saw like a rock come arc in and land and hit a stick that was just behind him, and then it bounced kind of in front of his feet. And you know, so it's like that was no acorn dropping, that was not a piece of wood or a nut or anything dropping out of a tree. Somebody launched something at him. Yeah, yeah. So I'm surprised with the fact that you have the people that are, you know, coming by the area, that none of them have torn down your bushcraft shelter. I know I watch a guy over in the UK, and he just came out with a video, I think it was today, that he had built a shelter on the end of a downed tree, and it was a big tree. So when the tree fell down, the roots created like a wall. So he built a shelter off of that, and he returned to the shelter, and he added to it, and then he returned. I think it was the third time he returned to it. Somebody had torn it down, so that was you know, it's why do people do that? You know, um, and I don't know. Maybe somebody thought that since nobody was using it, it was abandoned. Um, they figure, you know, maybe their judgment in whether it was safe or not was questionable. I saw how well it was built, so I don't think it was questionable as to how sturdy it was. So yeah, and you know, based on the lay of the materials from the shelter, the way they pulled, like they pulled the top off of it and laid it over to one side and then ripped down the rest of the shelter. So that was, you know, you know, it wasn't caused by weather, and it wasn't, you know, it's not natural for someone to pull down the top. And so let's see, get the message. Oh, got that. I have to check on a quick message there. Um, but yeah, like I said, been doing some bushcrafting around the camp here. Um, you know, I'm in a state park, so I can't really go out and cut down stuff to build shelters. I couldn't do things where I cut down things that are green and do bushcrafting that requires, you know, for the wood to be green. So there are things that I can't do. But if it's, like I said, it's browning down, and if you see my videos before, I do showed a video about collecting fat wood and ways to get tinder from it, and a way to get more tinder that most people don't think about. So if you guys get a chance, check those out. Hey Mike, how's it going? I've been out doing a little carving again. Let me know if you know what that is. Hint. How's the trailer going? Seeing you got some help there and getting that lined up. We'll be looking forward to the videos of it on regular YouTube, not just the little side stuff. Because yeah, I think that would make for a good, interesting video. I wish myself I, you know, had a way to have like even one of the teardrop trailers. Got the exterior done today. That's awesome. But I wouldn't mind having a teardrop trailer, but I don't have any place to actually put it. I would have to, you know, go to like a storage place and keep it there. And it's like, you know, in this day and age, so many people stealing stuff like that. I mean, I guess if you got insurance on it, but it's just not a hassle I want to go through. Plus, you know, you're paying money for it to just sit there. Whereas if you had your own property and place to keep it, then, you know, it might be a little more. Now, it's for somebody that goes camping as much as I do, you know, even if I built my own, might not be that much, you know, that bad of a money pit versus functionality for me. So yeah, but it's kind of hard to drive all that way and then come back to camp in this area. I know you're kind of hinting at something, but um, I know in what is it? I want to say it's mid-January is when the winter survival fest, which is at the campground, or not the campground, it's a city park, but you might as well say it's a campground, and it's like 5 miles that way from me. Um, you know, everybody's welcome to come down to it. Uh, Yeah, I am. I got wind of it. But yeah, if you want to come down for that, you know, of course, I'm sure it's weather conditions pending. Oh, yay, another neighbor. So they're parking in one of my more common. It's it's straight that way. Um, I got one right over there. Can you guys hear the music? Hopefully you can't. I got one of my neighbors off over that way. It's the one that purple rained me last night that I couldn't do it. Oh, next weekend. If I'd have known a little further in advance, then I would have. But yeah, nice thing is I've got a tent, my tent in between, so I'm sure that's blocking the sound of that. But they got some music playing over there that's uh, distinct. Last night they started everything with a purple rain uh, in the form of Beach Boys. And for those of you that don't know what the purple rain thing is, uh, which I've mentioned it before on my channel, but the purple rain thing is when I went on a uh, meetup with Ozark Woodsman Stories and More there, and Minnesota, and Mike Outdoors. And then we also had 210 Outdoors, Ozark's Great Adventures, uh, Adams. Oh, Mike, help me with that. What's his channel? Um, and then two guys in the Ozarks. So we had a meetup, and the first night that we were there, uh, some kids. Now, mind you, we were in the boonies. GAEFT, is it in it .LLC? But yeah, they were walking down the road, and this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We're in the boonies, and when I say the boonies, I mean the boonies. You know, I'm not kidding. You know, I would say it was at least 2 minutes to the nearest store. I don't even want to call it a convenience store. It's kind of like mom and pop shop stores, not your everyday, you know, Circle K or any of those, Casey's or what's the other one? I forget. But you know those stores. Um, you know, so we're in the boonies, and these guys 2 o'clock in the morning, walking down the road with their phone volume turned all the way up, playing "Purple Rain" by Prince. So, you know, first off, who does that 2 o'clock in the morning uh, in the boonies? You know, no telling where they came from. You're driving through my town? Yeah, but how am I going to get back? I know. You're on your own there, bud. Yeah. I gotta put my car in the shop. I got some things, you know, maintenance things that need to be done before I make a long trip. Otherwise you know, I probably would have had no problem going, you know, dropping everything and just going. And I thought, you know, like the weather right now, I don't know how it is there. You know, that's a thought. That might even be uh, a thought for me for uh, the trip. to the Ozarks in February. Yeah, I considered that. Because I mean, this Honda Pilot I have is a 2011. I mean, it only has about 112,000 miles on it, so it's low mileage, but I need to do, you know, regular maintenance stuff on it. Yeah, I'd want to bring gear, you know. I mean, you saw what I brought to the meet up there in the Ozarks. Now, granted, I wouldn't need that much. Probably overdid it. And every time I go through what I've got and I downsize it so that it doesn't take up as much room in my vehicle, then I come up with more stuff to add to it, you know. But a lot of it has to do with like the projects I do out here. You know, I've got a chainsaw, I've got, you know, big table. Um, yeah, I've got gear. If I want, you know, I've got the tent set up, but if I wanted to do hammock, I've got the full hammock gear set up here as well. So yeah, bacon and sausage. Yeah. So yeah, that's been, you know, kind of one of my thoughts, and I was trying to figure out what site, you know, what kind of vehicle I could rent that wouldn't, you know, I don't want to rent a like a Suburban, you know, but the back of my Pilot has quite a lot of space, and I know they're like minivans that you can rent, and that would be fine if they took the seats out, you know, but I don't think they have minivans that you can rent unless I can find someplace that'll rent uh, like a utility type minivan, like a delivery van or something. Of course, if I had a trailer, but then I still need a vehicle that could tow a trailer. You Yeah, like I said, all things I got to look into unless I can get all the, I mean, all the things that I want to do maintenance-wise to the vehicle are uh, going to be probably a couple of different uh, trips to the shop, or you know, like a week long type thing. So yeah, I was a little slip or Freudian, but well, guys, unless you guys got some more ideas for the haversack or want to debate it as far as what goes in it, or you have something to suggest, like I said, I suggested this, and Woodsman added, you know, maybe a little pocket Bible or something that you could throw in there. But yeah, you could tempt me, but like I said, if I'd had a little more than just a week's notice, um, it was easy for me to load up and go to the meetup that was here uh, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It was easy for that because, like I said, it's 5 miles from where I usually camp. Um, but a long road trip, I need to get the vehicle ready. So, But like I said, if anybody's got anything, let me know now, or we're probably going to wrap it up here. It's starting to get a little dark, and the natives are getting restless. The neighbor just carried out a large log from the woods. Looks to be about that big around and probably 6 foot long. He's got something to cut that up and doesn't plan on doing the feed it into the fire, because they have fire pits here. Oh, he's out there just bulldozing through the woods. Flip here so you can see the log that he got. He's off in the woods. So right there's the stove, and it's that log laying there by it, and you can kind of get an idea of the size. I mean, it's not super big around, but yeah, like I said, he's out there bulldozing. All right, well, like I said, we're gonna wrap things up here. That way you guys can get on with your evening. I've been on for about an hour and a half here, and it's going to start getting dark here. And I'll be using my light that 210 Outdoors always talks about. Picked one up. These things are pretty nice. And this one wasn't too overpriced like the $60, $70 ones that you see out there. Leave that on there. I had that just in case I ran on into the dark. I had that handy since it does such a good job. But okay, Virginia Bushcrafter, I appreciate that. I appreciate Mike coming in, Ozarks Woodsman, Nancy. Who else did we have? We had, of course, my son Cody. It's good to see him come in. I didn't even know he knew about my channel. Well, I think he knew. I knew he knew about it, but I haven't seen him, come in ever on it. And then we got Coal Region Explorer. Yeah, appreciate him coming in. And we had a couple of people outside the United States come in. Appreciate them stopping by. But if you guys haven't already, hit that thumb on the way out if you enjoyed this. Like I said, I've got some projects coming up. Hopefully the weather will turn a little bit cooler. I almost didn't come this weekend even because how hot it was. So, but you guys take it easy. We got more in store for you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Remember, be kind to one another.